In 2019, a Swedish millionaire named Fredrik Herren bought an entire island for less than the price of a two-bedroom apartment in San Francisco. He didn't get lucky, he didn't inherit it, and he definitely didn't save up for it. He used debt. But here's what nobody tells you about how the wealthy actually build wealth. They're not doing what you think they're doing. They're not grinding harder, they're not budgeting better, and they're certainly not avoiding risk. They're playing a completely different game with different rules on a different board. And once you see how it works, you can't unsee it. If this kind of breakdown is useful, this is exactly what the channel does. No hype, no shortcuts, just how the system actually works. Subscribing just means you won't miss the next one. Now, back to the part no one likes to tell you. Right now, there's roughly $13 trillion sitting in U.S. savings accounts, earning maybe 0.5% interest. Meanwhile, inflation is running at 3 to 4% annually, which means millions of people are actively losing money by trying to be responsible. The math is uncomfortable. If you save $100,000 today and leave it untouched for 10 years at current rates, you'll have about $105,000. But that same money will only buy you what $75,000 buys today. You followed the rules, you were disciplined, and you got quietly, systematically poorer. The wealthy know this, which is why they do the opposite. They don't park money, they don't let it sit, they put it to work in ways that sound reckless to everyone else, but are actually ruthlessly calculated. And it comes down to 3 core strategies that most people either don't understand or are too afraid to use. Let's break them down. Secret number 1 is leverage, but not the way you think. Most people hear leverage and think credit card debt, car loans, bad decisions. The wealthy hear leverage and think amplification. Here's how it actually works. Let's say you have $500,000. You could buy a house with cash, own it outright, no debt, sleep well at night. Or you could put down 20% on that same house, finance the rest at 4% interest, and use the remaining $400,000 to buy 4 more properties. Now, instead of one asset appreciating, you have 5. Instead of one stream of rental income, you have 5. And here's the kicker. The tenants are paying off your debt for you. This is called using other people's money to control more assets than you could ever afford on your own. And it's not just real estate. Private equity firms do this at scale. They'll buy a company with 10% of their own money and 90% borrowed. If the company grows by 20%, they didn't just make 20% on their investment, they made 200% because they only put in 10. The risk is real. If things go south, leverage works in reverse. You lose faster, harder, and more completely than if you'd played it safe. But the wealthy have a buffer most people don't. Access to cheap money. If you walk into a bank and ask for $1 million loan, they'll laugh at you. If you walk in worth $10 million, they'll offer you 1.5 at 3% interest. The system rewards people who already have money with cheaper access to more of it. It's not fair, but it's structural. And the people who understand this use it to multiply wealth at a pace that saving alone could never match. Secret number 3 is tax architecture. And this one is where the gap between the wealthy and everyone else becomes almost comical. In 2021, ProPublica analyzed IRS data and found that the 25 richest Americans paid an average true tax rate of just 3.4%. Not because they cheated, because the system is designed to reward wealth accumulation differently than it rewards income. If you work a job and make $100,000, you're taxed on that income immediately. Federal, state, Medicare. By the time it hits your account, 30% is gone. If you own assets that appreciate by $100,000, you pay nothing, 0, until you sell. And if you never sell, you never pay. This is called unrealized gains, and it's the foundation of how billionaires live like billionaires while technically earning no income. Jeff Bezos' salary at Amazon was $87,000, but his net worth increased by tens of billions because his Amazon stock went up. He didn't pay taxes on that growth. He just borrowed against it. Banks will lend you money using your stock as collateral. The interest rate is low, low. The loan isn't taxable, and you can use that money to live on, invest, or buy more assets. Meanwhile, your stock keeps growing, tax-free. When you die, your heirs inherit those assets at their current value, not what you paid for them. It's called a step-up in basis, which means all that appreciation, all those gains that were never taxed, are essentially forgiven. Your children sell the stock the next day and owe nothing. This isn't a loophole, it's the design. The tax code is written to favor people who make money from assets, not labor. And once you have enough wealth, you can structure your entire financial life around that difference. You pay accountants and lawyers to build entities, trusts, and holding companies that minimize tax exposure legally and efficiently. It costs money to set up, but it saves exponentially more. And that's the gap. Most people can't afford the upfront cost of optimization, so they stay locked in a system that taxes them at the highest rates, while the wealthy architect around it entirely. Secret number 3 is asymmetric bets. This one is less about financial engineering and more about psychology. The wealthy don't diversify the way you're told to diversify. They concentrate. Warren Buffett has said that diversification is protection against ignorance. If you know what you're doing, you don't need 30 stocks. You need 5 great ones. But it goes deeper than that. The wealthy actively look for situations where the potential upside is massive and the downside is capped. They're not trying to hit singles. They're swinging for home runs, but only when the strikeout doesn't ruin them. Venture capital works this way. A firm invests in 20 startups, 18 fail, 1 does okay, and 1 becomes Uber. That one win returns 50 times the initial investment and pays for all the losses plus a fortune on top. You can't do that with a savings account. You can't do that with bonds. You need to be willing to lose money on most bets to win big on the few that matter. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The ability to take asymmetric risk is itself a form of wealth, and it compounds. Every big win gives you more room to take another big swing. Every loss for someone without a cushion pushes them further from ever being able to play the game. So the wealthy don't just think differently about risk. They exist in an entirely different risk environment, and that environment allows them to pursue opportunities that would be existentially dangerous for anyone else. So here's what we're actually looking at. 3 strategies: leverage, tax optimization, and asymmetric bets. All of them legal, all of them taught in business schools, and all of them completely inaccessible to most people, not because they're secret, but because they require a threshold of existing wealth to execute safely. You need money to borrow money cheaply. You need assets to avoid income tax. You need a cushion to take intelligent risks. So it creates a feedback loop. Wealth doesn't just grow, it accelerates. The more you have, the faster it compounds, the more tools become available, and the wider the gap becomes between you and everyone else still playing by the old rules. And here's the uncomfortable part. None of this is about being smarter or working harder. It's about access. It's about structure. It's about understanding that the game isn't rigged. It's just that most people are playing a version of the game that was never designed to let them win. The question isn't whether these strategies work. They obviously do. The question is whether a system that rewards wealth accumulation this aggressively while taxing labor this heavily can sustain itself long term, or whether at some point the math stops adding up for everyone else.